Welcome to our service from the Unitarian Society of Northampton and Florence. I'm Nancy Whittier, your welcome leader this morning. If you're new or returning after a time away, we're very glad to see you. Please feel free to fill out a blue welcome card, which you can put in the offering plate later in the service. There's a link to an online version in the chat. We'll put you on our email list so you can receive information about all that we do. Visitors can go to the Ask Me table at the back of the hall, where a member of the Newcomer Connections team will be able to answer your questions. We strive to be a congregation that welcomes people of all ages, races, religious beliefs, backgrounds, sexual orientations, gender identities, and abilities. We belong to the Unitarian Universalist Association of Congregations, and we're guided and inspired by its values and principles. One of our principles calls on us to journey towards spiritual wholeness by working to build a multicultural, beloved community through actions that accountably dismantle racism and other oppressions in ourselves and our institutions. Therefore, we are moved to remember that those of us in our region live on the unceded homeland of the Pecumtuck, Nonotuck, and Western Nipmuc peoples. We acknowledge our responsibility to confront the legacies of dispossession and systemic racism that are part of our collective history. We also affirm and celebrate the many legacies that inspire us. We have drawing materials and other activities at the Soul Play table in the back of the Great Hall. Also in the back, we have hearing assistive devices and large print order of meetings and hymnals. Restrooms are gender neutral and are downstairs. They can be reached through one of these doors. An elevator is available in addition to the stairs. Please see some announcements in the order of meeting. There's a spiritual discussion on the theme of embracing possibility after the service downstairs in the Sojourner Truth Room. 3 additional announcements. First of all, if you're tuning in on Zoom, please bear with us. We're having internet issues, and if you just hang on in the meeting, we will be working to resolve that as quickly as possible. Second, this week's Sunday Times had a link to our ministerial candidates website. If you click that link, it will give you an error message. But you have an option on that page to click Go Home, and that will take you to the actual website. Our apologies. Now we have a short announcement from our treasurer, Ruth Banta.
Okay. Hey folks, I wanted to give you a quick financial update on where we are. We are 7 months into the current church budget year. Congregation passed a balanced budget this year, and I expect that we're going to meet that budget or have a slight surplus. That's as long as spending stays under control, particularly around bedazzling and glitter. And I want to, not naming names, but social justice committees, you know who you are. Keep that under control. Our FY27 budget is also looking very strong. We had a really good stewardship result. Thank you all for all of your pledges. More details about FY27 budget will be released in May before you all vote at our annual meeting on May 31st. And now I want to give you an update on one of my favorite topics, grocery gift cards. I want to remind folks very quickly, we buy gift cards from Big Y, Stop and Shop, and River Valley at a discount, and we sell them to you all at face value. We sell them before and after most services. We will not be selling them on May 10th, our first day at Bombeck's, or May 17th when we're at Arcadia. So you've got 3 weeks to stock up before we have a little lull. And the excellent news in our grocery gift card program is Big Y has increased their donation percentage from 5% to 10%. That means if you buy a $100 Big Y card, $10 goes to the society. So anyone who's been on the fence, this is your opportunity to jump in. So I know many people are wondering and about whether or not we're going to sell gift cards at Bombex. No one has asked me about it, but I can read your minds, and I know you're thinking about it. So yes, we will be selling grocery gift cards at Bombex, and just in case there were any technical issues, our very creative grocery gift card team has invested in a mobile selling solution that Carmen and Bill are going to demonstrate for you as they walk up the aisles. Come forward here. Come on, Bill, you got it. So folks can come up a little, so Carmen and Bill, you can come up a little faster because we started our service a little late. So you can see we are ready for any possibility. So we will be at Bombex starting on May 24th, but as a reminder, 3 weeks to stock up on your gift cards while we take a 2-week break. Thank you.
Okay. Sarah Metcalf is this morning's service leader for the USNF Climate Action Group. We're here to celebrate, to reflect, and to support one another. It is good to be together. And now, let's enjoy the prelude.
Good morning. The opening words today are by Rebecca Solnit. Resistance is first of all a matter of principle and a way to live, to make yourself one small republic of unconquered spirit. Please rise and join with me in reading the words for chalice lighting, and afterwards remain standing for the opening hymn. We are here to abet creation and to witness to it, to notice each other's beautiful face and complex nature, so that creation need not play to an empty house. And now we will sing hymn number 40 in the gray hymnal, "The Morning Hangs a Signal."
it's time to greet one another. Those of you in the Great Hall, please extend a welcome to those who are near you and take a moment to greet those by joining on Zoom by waving at the camera. If you're on Zoom, you are invited to turn on your videos, wave, and say hello in the chat. It's helpful to switch to gallery view. Sorry, I had to make that a little short. We started a little late, so try to catch up a little bit here. It has been good to see everyone. If you are on Zoom, please remember to turn off your videos. And now Jessica will share the story.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jessica, and I'm the Director of Faith Development and Community Engagement. And our story this morning is called Thank You, Earth by April Polisaire, and the photos are really gorgeous. Unfortunately, as you can tell, we're low tech today, which also feels right as we're celebrating the Earth and thinking about our impact on it. If you want to come a little closer to see the pictures, there's openings in the front, but you also may want to close your eyes and picture places that have been meaningful to you as I read through the book. Thank you, Earth, a love letter to our planet. Dear Earth, thank you for water and those that float, for slippery seaweed and stone. Thank you for mountains and minerals that strengthen bills and bone. Thank you for air. And I invite you all to just take in a breath now. Even fishy whale breath. Thank you for colors and coastlines and beach. And the pictures of seals hanging out on a beach. Thank you for tiny and for towering. For trees and vines that reach. Thank you for curves and prickles and parallels for patterns. And you can see there's sort of a conversation between the succulent and the cactus and the leaf and the baby sea turtles. All shapes that repeat. Thank you for leaves and stems and buds, for plant parts we can eat. Thank you for sounds and storms and seasons, for struggles. And this is a picture of a squirrel hanging on with all of his strength to a branch. And pale in-betweens. Thank you for rays and radials and overlapping greens. Thank you for jumbles, ingredients for soil, and bright new growth in spring. I hope you've all started to see some of the spring ephemerals. Thank you for those that crawl. Yes, all, even those that sting. Thank you for sunsets. For sky room for birds. For edges eyes can roam. And for those of you who are looking, you might be able to see a profile in this rock. Thank you for beginnings. And there's egg masses in the water here, which, has anybody seen any egg masses in the vernal pools yet this year? And for endings, for lifetimes. Thank you for being our home. And that's it. Thank you all. And I'm not sure if there's anyone who's coming down. Hopefully there's at least one person who's coming downstairs because we have a little Earth Day activity. The older kids have already started their class. So if you'd like to come down, we'll sing the children and the teachers out right now.
Good morning. I'm Sherry Hall-Smith, and I'm a member of the Racial Justice Team. And this is the Social Justice Minute, recognizing that our faith calls us powerfully to action on social justice and the climate emergency. Historically, power sources that harm the environment have often been cited in poorer communities, often with large numbers of people of color. We've seen our neighbors to the south in Springfield come together multiple times to fight off potential siting of a biomass plant there, despite the city having one of the highest asthma rates in the nation. Fortunately, they've been successful. And now the governor is promoting nuclear energy with its many potential environmental impacts. Since nuclear waste sites and the mining of nuclear materials are often located in less affluent communities and communities of color, this is a matter of racial justice as well as environmental justice. And I will turn it over to Bill to let you know what you can do.
Please scan this QR code or go to the link. The last time you did this, we sent thousands of emails. It connects to a page with a link to email all the Massachusetts legislative leaders in 2 minutes and a fact sheet about the risks of new nuclear power plants. I will post it here somewhere and in the parlor. Thanks.
Good morning. This is a poem called The Sun by Mary Oliver. Have you ever seen anything in your life more wonderful than the way the sun every morning, relaxed and easy, floats toward the horizon and into the clouds or the hills or the rumpled sea and is gone, and how it slides again out of the blackness every morning on the other side of the world, like a red flower, streaming upward on its heavenly oils, say, on a morning in early summer, at its perfect imperial distance. And have you ever felt for anything such wild love? Do you think there is anywhere, in any language, a world billowing enough for the pleasure that fills you? as the sun reaches out, as it warms you, as you stand there empty-handed? Or have you too turned from this world? Or have you too gone crazy for power, for things?
Please join in Body or Spirit to sing the hymn number 79, No Number Tallies Nature Up. This house of light and love stands around us now because those who came before us had a dream and a vision.
This community exists today because those who came before us lived a life larger than their own. It is for us to keep faith with them. It is for us to keep faith with the future. You may mail in a check, donate online, or put your contribution in one of the plates the ushers will pass. Our offering will now be given and gratefully received.
Just a little rain falling all around. The grass lifts its head to the heavenly sound. Just a little rain, just a little rain. What have they done to the rain? Just a little boy standing in the rain, the gentle rain that falls for years, and the grass is gone, the boy disappears, and rain keeps falling like helpless tears. What have they done to the rain? Just a little breeze out of the sky. The leaves pat their hands as the breeze blows by. Just a little breeze with smoke in its eye. What have they done to the rain? Just a little boy standing in the rain, the gentle rain that falls for years, and the grass is gone, the boy disappears, and rain keeps falling like helpless tears. And what have they done to the rain? What have they done to the rain? This is a prose poem by Anne Boyer, What Resembles the Grave But Isn't. Always falling into a hole, then saying, okay, this is not your grave, get out of this hole. Getting out of the hole, which is not the grave. Falling into a hole again, saying, okay, this is also not your grave, get out of this hole. Getting out of that hole, falling into another one. Sometimes falling into a hole within a hole, or many holes within holes, getting out of them one after the other, then falling again, saying, this is not your grave, get out of the hole. Sometimes being pushed, saying, you cannot push me into this hole, it is not my grave, and getting out defiantly, then falling into a hole again without any pushing. Sometimes falling into a set of holes whose structures are predictable, ideological, and long dug, often falling into this set of structural and impersonal holes. Sometimes falling into holes with other people saying, this is not our mass grave, get out of this hole. all together getting out of the hole together. Hands and legs and arms and human ladders of each other to get out of the hole that is not the mass grave, but that will only be gotten out of together. Sometimes the willful falling into a hole which is not the grave, because it is easier than not falling into a hole, really, but then once in it, realizing it is not the grave, getting out of the hole eventually. Sometimes falling into a hole and languishing there for days, weeks, months, years, because while not the grave, it's very difficult still to climb out of, and you know after this hole, there's just another and another. Sometimes surveying the landscape of holes and wishing for a high-quality final hole. Sometimes thinking of who has fallen into holes which are not graves, but might be better if they were. Sometimes too ardently contemplating the final hole while trying to avoid the provisional ones. Sometimes dutifully falling and getting out with perfect fortitude, saying, "Look at the skill and spirit with which I rise from that which resembles the grave, but isn't." We will be silent together for a few minutes. I hope you liked Anne Boyer's poem. I know it's dark, but here we are, and it's good to say things out loud. I think this poem evokes so well the spiritual burden of this period we're facing together, both its perpetual threat and everything we bring to meet it. Determination, realism, survival instinct, cooperation, insight, art, and a bracing black humor. There are so many holes to fall into, ranging from the personal to the global. My tiny hole this week has been the sobering work of preparing these remarks. I've visited this hole before. As I find in my files 8 other reports I've made to this congregation on our global emergency, what's being done about it and not done, along with considerations on what this asks of us. The news is never good. The world continues to get hotter and hotter despite all our earnest efforts. We just haven't had the means to meet the leviathan of industrialism, of global capitalism, and its reckless pyromania at scale. Like so many others, I've railed at this, analyzed it, disputed its inevitability, and crumbled in despair. All I can say is that, so far, it is not our mass grave. And it may not be. We've really veered off the prediction charts lately in ways good and bad. And now we're in a period of chaos and terror, but also of revolutionary possibilities. So who knows how this will play out? I offer some updates that may not have reached you yet. First, the bad news. Over the past 10 years, the rate of planetary warming has doubled. Some of this is due to our utter failure to curb carbon and methane emissions, some to feedback loops such as melting polar ice reflecting less sunlight back out into space, and some to our having exhausted the capacity of the world's oceans to silently absorb our excess heat. The Trump administration certainly hasn't helped. It has revoked the statutes that empowered the EPA to regulate CO2, eliminated emission standards for vehicles, green-lighted methane leaks, clawed back funding for wind and solar construction, slashed budgets for NOAA and NASA research, withdrawn from the IPCC, etc., etc. We feel the heat in our daily lives, even in the absence of extreme events. It's the boiling frog effect. Over the past 75 years, the number of days when it's too hot to go outside to walk the dog or weed the garden has doubled. In this context, I think of the visit I paid to one of my nieces 2 years ago in June. She lives in Greater LA, and the week I visited, daily highs were well over 100. We got up at 6 a.m. to walk the dog, who even then took care to step only on grass and would sit and whimper to be carried over hot pavement. On average, worldwide, people 65 and older now lose a month per year of time they can spend outdoors because the heat is too dangerous. Even younger people are losing about 50 hours. 1/3 of humanity lives in regions where heat severely affects daily life. At some point, those places will become uninhabitable. Here in the continental United States, this past March was the most abnormally hot month in 132 years of weather records. These shattered records are one example of our departure from the prediction charts. In some places, temperatures were 20 or 30 degrees above average. In Arizona, it hit 112. 19,800 daily temperature records were broken. Anomalies like that aren't part of an ascending curve, they are a spike. Another spike is now seen in the Pacific, out in the area climatologists monitor in order to predict El Niño events. The warm ocean currents that bring heat waves to the US, flooding in the south, increased Pacific hurricanes and typhoons, drought in Australia and Southeast Asia, glacier melt, and rising sea levels. This spike is so high, 2 degrees Celsius or more, that many climate models are now predicting a super El Niño, which would be, to borrow an overused phrase, something the likes of which we've never seen before. A regular El Niño is bad news. A super one, it is feared, will release such a burst of heat that the Earth will not be able to cool down before the next one comes along. This could trip us into a self-perpetuating loop. Another ominous sign is fresh evidence that the AMOC, the Atlantic Meridional Overturning Current, has slowed to its most lethargic pace in 1,600 years. This vast oceanic river that flows from Greenland to the tip of South America and back up north again redistributes heat and controls the climate of every continent it touches. Its slowing portends a colder climate for Europe, rising waters along the US eastern seaboard, increased desertification in Africa, and decreased rainfall in Amazonia. Its full shutdown has long been identified as one of the key tipping points for climate disruption severe enough to cause civilizational collapse. And a new understanding is that this would trigger the release of vast new troves of CO2 currently sequestered in the cold depths of the Southern Ocean. According to an article published 4 days ago in The Guardian, the current rate of slowdown must be halted soon, meaning within the next 5 to 10 years, or it may become irreversible. We do keep discovering that our climate modeling needs revision. This isn't surprising given how vast the Earth is, how many interactive variables there are to consider, and how sparse, really, are our data points. Sometimes predictions have been too severe. All the Arctic sea ice was not gone by 2016. Others have been too mild, as Jem Bandel pointed out back in 2018, because scientists were soft-pedaling the bad news for fear of paralyzing people with despair. These days, they show a lot of math to establish that a particular weather pattern or storm is too anomalous not to have been caused by anthropogenic global warming. But they don't have any doubt about the March heat bubble or the AMOC or how bad this is. Wrapping up the doom report, I note that since 2025, we've seen deadly floods in Brazil, Kenya, Indonesia, and France, terrible forest fires in Chile and Argentina, and intense heat waves throughout Asia, as one might expect, given that 2025 was the third hottest year on record. 2026 may not surpass it, but 2027 almost certainly will. The only remedy we can apply is to rapidly move our energy economy out of fossil fuels and into solar and wind power. Not nuclear, not geoengineering, not CO2 scrubbing. These are all various combinations of dangerous, non-scalable, or inefficient. Now for the good news. At last, a rapid transition to green energy is actually taking place, along with rapid advances in the technology. You could be forgiven for not having noticed this because most of it is originating in China. China has allocated over $220 billion to green energy, an unprecedented investment dwarfing even what the US spent on the Marshall Plan, which remade the global economy after World War II and gave us what has been called the American century, which we might now need to revise to the American 85 years. 95% of new electricity generation around the world is now generated by sun or wind. China is churning out solar panels and improving their efficiency. They're installing giant wind turbines and are now testing airborne turbines lofted by a tethered helium platform the size of a football field. Their sea-based platforms are even larger. China is leading the development of sodium-ion batteries, cheaper, safer, and more efficient at cold temperatures than lithium-ion batteries, and these are being used in electric vehicles and for grid-based storage. Maybe you've heard about Chinese electric cars, such as those manufactured by BYD, which are outselling Teslas around the world. They're both cute and luxurious, some as cheap as $10,000, with astonishing features: long range, the ability to turn 360 degrees in place, super fast charging. Some are even equipped to survive floods. They can navigate through water and, in a pinch, float. China is exporting these marvels to Europe, Africa, Mexico, Malaysia, India, and Bangladesh, where people are able to purchase affordable so-called balcony solar panels that plug into the wall and power a house or apartment. Many of these countries and regions are running now on a far greater proportion of green energy than we are here in the US. And why not? Solar and wind power doesn't pollute or cook us, unlike scarce fuels that must be extracted, shipped, and refined, and that are subject to price manipulation and hoarding. Sunlight and wind are everywhere. And now the tech that converts them to electricity is being cheaply and sustainably manufactured. Quoting Bill McKibben from last September, China's solar exports last year alone were sufficient to cut long-run global carbon emissions by 4 billion metric tons, equivalent to about 40 days' worth. He calls China the Saudi Arabia of the sun. This is truly an astonishing development when we remember that not so long ago, Beijing was notorious for its choking, coal-darkened air. But they instituted regulations in 2013 that have since lowered particulates by roughly 30%. All of this is good news for the world, whose climate we all share. At the same time, it's frustrating that we don't see our own government putting its power behind developing similar technologies and enforcing similar regulations. Instead, we're attacking Iran. Ironically, for a president fixated on promoting a fossil fuel economy, his war is serving to highlight all the risks and costs of being dependent on oil suppliers. Since this war began, demand for EVs is sharply up all over the world. So here we are, facing climate chaos and political chaos at the same time. Both are urgent, and of course, they overlap. For each of the last 3 years, the average global temperature has bumped up against the dreaded 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial norms. Beyond that point, we will be dealing with devastating shortages of food and water, and for every 1/10 of a degree gained over 1.5, the estimated displacement of another 140 million people from areas too hot to be compatible with human life. These are calamities our civilization is not equipped to meet. Returning to Bill McKibben, whose book Here Comes the Sun was the Climate Action Group's choice for the substance of this service, and whose messages I've been sketching out today, and which incidentally I recommend to you for your personal reading. McKibben is very clear about where we stand. Where once what we needed was to develop the green technology to replace fossil fuels, now what we need is to speed its implementation. In a recent interview, he said, "We're going to win this fight. Whether we win it in time is a very different question." Hey, if you don't have solar panels yet, or an EV or geothermal heating, and you can afford it, now's the time. Demand sends a message in a market economy. And here's hoping we can vote in the midterm elections for representatives who live in the real world and want it to endure. Whatever we're headed into, I imagine that many of us lie fretfully awake in the dark, and some of us are profoundly discouraged. Are these the end times? Is this the final whole? So I want to offer a few personal thoughts on life and death. When my daughter died 2 years ago, she was only 36. She lived what might be thought of as half a life. But was it? Wasn't it complete in itself? It seems to me survival cannot be the sole measure of success. By that measure, sooner or later, we all fail. When we think of our own death, we're accustomed to thinking of what will outlive us. Our children, maybe our artifacts, this beautiful world, the generations to come. But are these expectations all that give meaning to our lives? Yes, they motivate us to work toward a vision or help us to tolerate hard times. But what about the present, which we actually inhabit? Isn't that obdurately meaningful in itself? And when the day comes that we fall into a hole which is, in fact, the grave, will all meaning be lost? Or will it be intensified as we draw nearer to dissolving back into the cosmos? This is just to say, while we're here, we're here. Finally, I love those final lines of Anne Boyer's poem about dutifully falling and getting out with perfect fortitude, saying, "Look at the skill and spirit with which I rise from that which resembles the grave but isn't." I don't read those lines as being about faking strength or courage. I read them as morale building. Let's get out of this hole. I've lost my script here. Thank you. We are going to now join in singing hymn number 134, Our World is One World. closing words are an excerpt from the poem Almost Awake, Spring Morning Gratitude by Li Young Lee, fittingly a Chinese-American poet. Open window, blue sun, green sun. Last night, light rain fell off and on. Thunder rumbling nudged me, how many times, nearly awake.